What up, gamers? I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice & Dragons, we are going to be reviewing the expansion for the Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-earth, Shadowed Pass. This is the first big box expansion for the game, and it was a little tricky to find out who the designers were for this one. It is once again Grace Holdinghaus with some assistance from Brandon Purdue and Cantell. Hopefully I pronounced that properly. If not, and you happen to see this review, please let me know how to pronounce your name down below in the video description. Now, with that being said, Julie's going to tell you more about the game itself.
So it's a cooperative dungeon crawl adventure.
I'd say it's more in the adventure style game. If you played a game like Runebound 3rd edition, which we have, it's more along those lines, but there is some combat like dungeon crawls as well, and you do get a little bit of that feel because it's an app-assisted game.
Yes. So it's for ages 14 and above, 1 to 5 players. The box says 60 plus minutes. I'd say it's very rare that you're going to have a mission or a campaign that's going to be under 60 minutes. There tend to be about 90 to 120 minutes.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. What about the age? You think you can go a little younger, or?
I think there's a fair amount of complexity to how this works, so I'd say probably not much younger.
No, I have to agree with you. I don't think much younger. Now, if you've been raising a gamer in your household, as we hope to do, then probably you can go younger, or you will most likely need to assist them with some of the setup and selecting their characters and things like that. One of the reasons why I would also say you'd probably prefer to play with older players is you can't go back in the app. And that's one of those things where standard of Journeys in Middle-earth, same thing with Mansions of Madness. It's just that this is a campaign game, so make a mistake, well, you're not replaying the mission, unfortunately. Now, what else, Julie? Is there anything else I should add? Oh, yes. What are you doing in the game? Well, as we mentioned, this is an adventure dungeon crawl style game. This is a campaign game with 13 missions. What you're going to be doing is either journeying across Middle-earth or battling enemies on a battle map. You need to complete your quest. And what is the quest for Shadowed Pass?
Well, without giving too much away, you're going to help the elves get rid of a spider problem.
Yes, so very much, if you remember Mirkwood from The Hobbit or the Hobbit films, that's where you're going to be venturing. And it's not a spoiler, you can see it on the front of the box here. You will also venture into Moria. Now, what's really interesting is that this is a branching campaign with 3 different paths. Now, the recommended paths are meet the elves, go to Moria, deal with the spiders. I have no idea if it's going to turn out differently, but I think we've talked enough about the game. So Julie's going to now tell you what time it is.
Well, it's time to grab our drinks.
We're going to grab our best friend and fellow adventurer. We're going to take it to the table one more time to finish up this campaign. That's right, it's a full campaign review.
You're slow on the drink. I had time to drink and swallow.
Well,
come on, let's go. We gotta go play.
Okay, I'm going. Now let's take a look at the components for the Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-earth, the Shadowed Pass expansion. Now we do get a whole whack load of new tiles, and if you're familiar with the original game, you'll know that all the tiles are double-sided. So as you can see, we're definitely going to be delving into the depths, caves, some old underground kingdoms. Definitely very excited to get this to the table. Now, one thing that I did notice, and it's something that I'm sure players familiar with the game will notice as well. If you take a look at the numbering on the tiles, it does appear like there is a little symbol for the Shadowed Pass. Hard to view, but the numbering is identical to what we had in the original game. So you probably want to find a bag or some way to package these tiles up separately if you're going to be putting all the expansion content into one box. Then we do get some new terrain, elevated terrain, these logs that'll come into play. We also have some rocky and difficult terrain on the side, if I'm not mistaken. We do get some rubble as well as some other rocky tokens. I believe part of this will be for above ground, this will be for underground. We do get some more double-sided tokens for interaction. So we've got our elf with our dwarf on the other side. Here we've got our human with a halfling on the opposite side. We have the new corruption tokens. This is the difficult ground token. We get some more item tokens as well as inspiration tokens in in the box. We also get 5 new heroes. And as always, for those of you that may not necessarily be familiar with the characters, you get a little bit of background and some suggested starting equipment for them. So you've got some cool stuff like knife, sling, and cloak. So pretty interesting weapons for her to start with. You've got all of your character stats, their max fear and damage, and their special ability, which we'll take a quick look at. So once during your turn, you or a nearby hero may flip 1 damage or fear face down, or discard 1 face down damage or fear. Here we've got Ballin. So her suggested role is the herbalist. Next for him, we've got the Delver. He starts with a hatchet, shield, and the travel garb. Now the travel garb is not included in the items here, so that's part of the reason why you need the base game. That is special ability once per round. When you suffer damage after resolving all damage from a single source, you may prepare 1 skill from your discard pile. We've got Diz, whose suggested role is Smith, starts with hammer and the new ring mail, which is right over here. So after you test, you may spend 1 fate icon to place 1 card from the test on top of your deck. Pretty cool ability. We've got our new human character, Eleanor. Once per phase, a hero in your space may spend 1 inspiration to convert 2 fate to 2 successes. So suggested starting role, Traveler, sword, horn, and the travel garb. So clearly from Gondor with the horn. Not sure if it's a horn of Gondor, but still pretty cool. And last but not least, we've got Gandalf, who once per round after you discard a prepared skill with fate on it, you may gain 1 inspiration and scout 1. So his starting role is the meddler, which totally thematic to him, with a walking stick, a sword, and a cloak. I just love Gandalf. I can't wait to play as the character. Now each character also has their own miniature. So we've got Arwen, and just as well detailed as most Fantasy Fight minis. Not as detailed as, say, Awakened Realms, but still very good. Here we've got Ballin. Next, we've got Diz. Love the fact that she's holding this giant hammer. At least I think it's she. Can't quite tell with dwarves. Here we've got Eleanor brandishing the sword. And can't quite see the horn, but still a very cool looking character. And last but not least, the ever-powerful Gandalf the Grey. Wondering if we'll ever see Gandalf the White enter the game. Now we do get some new reference. This actually is supposed to be... at the bottom of this deck, if I'm not mistaken here. Yeah, these are the new reference cards for the different things. So elevation, so that's what I said. I thought it was rocky terrain. This is elevation. We've got rubble, log, and web. So this isn't, these are web tokens that you'll see when spiders come into play. So we do get those references as to what we need to do when encountering them. We also get 3 new titles that are added into the game. One adds an extra success. The other have some pretty cool abilities. As we don't want to take too long with this overview of the components, we're not going to go over quite everything. We did go over some of the stuff in a little bit more detail during our unboxing. So right now there'll be a card that'll pop up, actually be on that side, I believe. That'll take you to the unboxing if you want to see some of this stuff in more detail. Now we've got all of these new skill cards. So as you can see, we've got some cards from the Smith, and that just ended up in the wrong spot after the unboxing. So we got the upgrade cards for the different roles. We've got the herbalist cards. You can see some of the stuff that you can be doing, but this is largely a healing role that you're going to get in the game. So all the way up to 12. Of course, the higher ones will give you some successes, some pretty cool abilities. Like at the end of your turn, you may start this skill for you or a nearby hero to discard up to 2 damaged or 2 wounds and 2 fear, and you can also use it for sprint 2. We've got the Traveler, who seems to be similar to the Pathfinder. So during this turn, you may discard this skill for a nearby hero, discard 1 fear and scout 1. Scout 1, sprint 1, sprint 1, guard 2, hide, scout 2, hide, rest 2. So you're just giving you some ideas of what you can do. If you're not sure what all these different things mean, well, don't worry. At the end of the video, you'll be able to take a look at our original review on how to play for the Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth. For the Meddler now, so when you interact with a person token test, you may discard this skill to add 2 successes and scout 1, or you can discard it for strike 2. So you got some sprint 1 with the Meddler, ancient knowledge, the ability to rest for 2 with this card, Flattery. At the start of the rally phase, you may discard this skill for you and each nearby hero to prepare up to one skill with fate from their discard pile. So that's really neat. So you're going to have a lot of fun and a lot of different powers with these characters. Quick Temper. Before you strike with this skill, add 2 modifiers to the choice of your choice to the attack, and then you gain strike 3. So you can really boost an attack depending on your weapons. So we got the Delver, fairly good at hiding. Got some attack with strike, the ability to sprint. The Delver feels a little bit like an all-rounder character that can do a lot of different things. Strike 2, guard 1. After you suffer damage or fear, gain 1 inspiration and scout 1. So some pretty cool things that you'll be able to do. We've got the Smith, who seems to be more of a combat character and also can do some stuff with regards to the different items. As you can see, after you prepare the skill, a hero in your space may place 1 depletion token on an equipped item, so repairing some of the items. Before your hero tests to negate damage, you may discard this skill for that hero to scout 2, so that's pretty cool. So lots of different things that you're going to get with these new characters. Then we get the character abilities. I think we've talked enough about the cards. So as you can see, these are all the later game abilities, but we've got the character cards here for all of the different ones, like Gandalf's very thematic, greater power, strike 2, sprint 2, guard 2, rest 2, and hide. Like, that's just a crazy one, but gotta love Gandalf. Then of course, we've got the starting cards for each of the different rules. We'll talk more about the rules as we get into the review. So you can see the new armor. Only one new set of armor, which is the new ringmail that's being added to the game. We get 2 new items, the Crown of Shadows and Hammer and Tongs. So that's the Hammer and Tongs I like is when you attack or test to negate damage or fear, you may deplete this trinket to convert 1 fate to 1 success. Crown of Shadows means you can get an additional item, which is pretty cool. When you test, you may deplete this trinket to add 1 success equal to your corruption. So corruption is going to be a big thing. Now, you've got a ton of different things here, but this is where I think you're getting a really good chunk of the value for the expansion is all of these new weapons like Staff of Flame, Runway, which definitely is for Gandalf, some new swords, the Elf Forge Sword, 2 hits, Pierce, 2 hits, 4 hits. And these cards are also going to come into play if you ever decide to replay the any of the base campaigns. So that'll be pretty cool. So like 2 hits with 1 success, 2 hits, 3 hits and stun. That's very cool. 4 hits and smite with the Whistler, the knife, 2 hits pierce, 2 hits lethal. So you're really getting some cool new stuff. As you can see with the Smith, 4 hits, 3 hits with the hammer, then 4 hits, 3 hits thunder, 3 hits cleave. Lots of different damage you can do. 2 hits, 7 hits cleave. Like, geez, you can have a ton of fun playing with all of these different abilities. Then we've got just some new stuff that looks like it's almost an upgrade for things in the original game because we just have a hunting great bow here. So we're getting a wide variety of weapons. And of course, what would an expansion be without enemies? So here we've got our new enemies, and the feature one, of course, is a Balrog. And I would just love to be able to paint because I can just imagine what this character would look like all in black and red. We have, of course, spiders, as you could tell because of the web that's being added. We also have a boss spider, and looks fairly old and highly poisonous with all of those boils, welts, not sure what to call them. We're going to be getting some goblins, as it looks like, not quite orcs, goblin spear throwers. We've got a new type of troll that's going to be added to the game. We have these burrowers, and I'm not familiar with them, and having played the game, the name of these characters isn't included in the rulebook. And then we're getting some spirits lastly. Now, these spirits look a lot like the ones from Return of the King, and it makes sense if we're delving into these deep, dark places of the world. So there you have it. We've covered the components for Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-earth, The Shadowed Path. Now keep it right here as Julie and I will be coming back at you with our review of this expansion. Now, before we get into our review of the Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-earth, Shadowed Path, we'll talk a little bit about the new rules for the game, and when we get to the review portion, which will be probably really not that far along, maybe about 2 minutes later, we'll also discuss our opinion on them. So, Julie, Talk a little bit about the corruption mechanic that is introduced in the game.
Well, one of the things, I mean, I don't want to give away too much, but...
it's mentioned on the back of the box, so it's not like we're giving spoilers here. You can just say what it sort of does.
Yeah, so there's something that appears that is full of power and can corrupt you. And if you have it, it can corrupt you. And then there's mechanisms throughout the game, basically, that says... if you have corruption, this bad thing can apply to you, because the more corrupt you get, or the more evil is seeping into you potentially, the more bad things can happen.
Yes, and it's not just certain objects. Sometimes when it comes to search tokens or different objectives in the campaign, you may gain corruption as well. You may also lose corruption depending on your actions, so keep that in mind. Corruption can also be to your benefit, but you're overly corrupt, might not be...
It's a fine line, right?
Yeah, it's a fine line. Now, the other mechanics that are added to the game are some new rules for battle maps. You have, also there's the traveling rule as well. So you have difficult terrain, which comes into play on the journey maps. We also saw it on the battle maps. Then there's also the logs, the boulder, as well as, and I'm drawing a blank.
Rubble?
No, not the, you corrected me. Yes, we've got the rubble, not a boulder, and there's that other, the elevation. So those are the other new mechanics that you get. Now, difficult terrain, very straightforward. When you enter that space, it will end your movement, and that's actually your movement for your turn. You can't move out of that space. But if it's not your turn, you move in there, well, it's a little bit of an advantage. So play the system, use those abilities to your advantage. Rubble can be used as a weapon, and that was pretty cool. We actually enjoyed using it against some different enemies, and logs will let you also gain some inspiration, do some cool things. I think the most game-changing one is the elevation, where you either have to be in the same space as characters with elevation in order to fight them, as well as the fact that they gained some extra distance in terms of range. But it wasn't overly challenging, but they add some new features to the battle map. Now, anything that I missed?
No, I think you got it all.
All right, so take it away, Julie. Tell everyone your thoughts on Shadowed Paths.
So when you told me it was coming, I was looking forward to it. If you've seen our other reviews, and I mean, we'll get to that, but there'll be a link below to the first review, right?
Well, that'll be at the end of the video, but down below in the video description, there will be a link to our top 10 games. So just a hint, yes, we really enjoyed the base game, and we are expecting and hoping to enjoy this one.
Yes. So I was looking forward to it, and as we started playing, I mean, we've played a lot of different games recently. We've had been lucky enough to have a wide variety of games, but once we started playing it again, I remembered just how much I really like playing this game. And not to get ahead of myself, but this one didn't disappoint me. I was happy to be playing it. The characters, if we start with the new characters,
I think that's a great place to start. And just so you know, we actually had some stuff that we were going to review before this, but we were quite busy, ran a little bit out of time, and so this one got bumped up the queue, but we weren't disappointed by that.
Yeah, so the characters came in, and Jason and I were arguing about who was going to play Gandalf, and we both wanted to play Gandalf. I didn't know who else was in there, hadn't looked at anything, but I thought I want to play Gandalf. And in the end, Jason got to play Gandalf.
Because of his class. So, sorry to jump in, but we should just discuss why I decided to play Gandalf.
You got to play Gandalf because you got the game. That's why you got to play Gandalf.
Just because I got the game. In any case, Gandalf is the meddler who focuses a lot on deck manipulation. He's also the only character with 2 level 16 skills. Well, 16 experience, so not level 16, but you get where I'm going with this, because it's kind of level 3, level 7, and level 12. Well, that's the experience levels you need, and Gandalf's the only one that has a higher power level. Those skills are incredibly powerful, and of course they give you a success for your deck, and Gandalf plays exactly the way you would expect him to. He's got a walking stick and a sword, and that's actually one thing that we saw with a lot of these characters was the dual wielding aspect with ranged weapons potentially, or melee shield, and really cool overall. He is an Istari, so you will have some awesome abilities like greater power, which has pretty much everything under the sun that you need to do. He is perfect for some of those more difficult tasks that require you to be very wise, but also a little weak when it comes to might and wit. But I don't know, I disagree a little bit on the wit. Gandalf was always pretty witty in the books as well as in the film. So
yeah. So needless to say, it seems like Jason enjoyed Gandalf.
I did.
Because he got Gandalf, I got to pick the next two.
Well, just sorry about jumping in one last time. I did go for Halloween as a wizard and the style of Gandalf, like way long time ago. I had the robe, the sword, and the staff. Everyone's like, why do you have a sword? I was like, Gandalf has a sword. So there you go. Take it away.
So I didn't know how I would enjoy. I picked Eleanor and Balin. And I didn't think I'd be able to find characters that I enjoyed playing more than Aragorn and Gimli. Aragorn, sorry. I really enjoyed...
Just think the Gorn from Star Trek. Gorn!
Okay. Don't know where he gets these things sometimes. I really enjoyed playing with Eleanor and Balin. Eleanor, it's funny, it ends up being a human and a dwarf anyways. That was a little bit ironic. Eleanor is great because she has a special ability that as she travels and explores new areas, she gets to share an inspiration with other members of her traveling pack. So that's a great way to be able to get inspiration and to be able to share it with people. So that was also very practical.
That addressed some of the issues we had in other campaigns where you're like, don't explore, you have max inspiration. We're trying to balance out who can go. It was quite clear that in certain situations, if the map was open in front of Eleanor, we should maybe go off to the left and let her continue along that nice open road.
So that was great, but on top of being able to travel and to be able to sprint and that special power, she was also very well balanced, I found, with her other abilities and still able to kick butt. So I enjoyed that. I was a little disappointed until her weapons leveled up a little bit, but that's the same. That was the same thing with Aragorn.
That's the same thing with the whole game. Lore makes all the difference.
Yeah. So on that note, our way of playing, I think we've said it before, and it helps. Don't skip over the search tokens, or the different possibilities, because that's where you can really pick up the lore. And we maxed out our lore, or at least the lore required to max our equipment probably halfway through the missions.
Yeah, close to halfway through.
Which helped us, basically plow through the rest of the missions relatively easily.
It was really fun. And sorry for jumping in, but I wanted to mention, I wanted to play Eleanor originally because I picked Bearavoy the Pathfinder when we played the Hunt for the Emperor Crown campaign. And our first campaign play this, we had a lot of fun, but it was definitely a lot more difficult. The moment we picked Bearavoy and had a character that was a Pathfinder that could travel, open things up, and gave us opportunities to do more interactions and gain lore, it made all the difference. We had a lot of fun. I would say that... it's getting a little bit ahead of our spot. We'll talk about the comparisons to the end of the Hunt for the Ember Crown and this a little bit later on. But Eleanor as a traveler really filled that role as well. And I meant to mention with Gandalf, I sort of mentioned it when I talked about his card Greater Power. All the characters feel more balanced in terms of their mobility. I feel like we have a lot more sprint and a lot of opportunities to really move around the map. With some of the original roles, I think we're a little bit more limited. Yeah. I don't know if you agree with me on that.
Yeah, I felt like everybody at least has some sprint cards which allow them to move around a little bit more, which helps out. If I move over to Balin, I was disappointed he's not Gimli at first, but I found him actually more well balanced than Gimli. He's
still a famous dwarf. He's got to have some skills.
He may not hit quite as hard, but he makes up for it with spirit, which was ironic, but it does, it was interesting, and it allowed me to still continue to, as you say, smashy smash. So it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed the characters. Now, I'll let you talk about yours, but at some point, I was a little disappointed. I would have had the opportunity to, go with an all-girl team and pick your character, but you ended up with her. I went with Balin to stay with the dwarves, and your character ended up being pretty cool too.
Yes. I heal in games. I've learned this from MMORPGs. usually need a healer. Started playing the healer to make sure I always got a party. So when we discussed who we were going to be, I figured Julie would pick Arwen and not Eleanor. Well, she gave me Arwen. I have to say, if there's a character that probably stands out the most, I'm not sure if it's just the herbalist and combined with Arwen's starting gear. Her elven knives are crazy. Like right off the bat, we're starting with cards that hit very hard. We were playing the game and Julie's like, "You sure you want to fight him?" I'm like, "Well, I got one success. Let's see what it does." Oh, I could be getting this confused, but I'm pretty sure that was the first or at least the second knife where we have 3 hits lethal. She was pretty much just one-shotting all of the weaker enemies around her. Has a great ability to heal, which we really enjoyed. Actually, Bond's ability, which you neglected to mention, to regain guard cards out of the deck, was a great defensive ability and helped us out a lot. But Arwen's constant healing, when you compare that to Elena, and we haven't played Elena, and we did look online to get a little bit more feedback. The musician from the original game was great at doing healing in large bursts, whereas Arwen has just standard, steady healing combined with the gear we have. It was just really good. It was only when we were facing some very difficult enemies that we got into some damage trouble, as well as the fact that she has the sling, which is stun. It's a ranged weapon. So really it was just stunning people, knifing them, and healing the whole group, as well as having some solid sprint cards to be able to make sure that I was able to keep up. And I gotta say, she might be my favorite character in this expansion. Gandalf's really good. I like Eleanor a lot, but I think Arwen
Balin was pretty cool with when he got his upgraded hatchet.
Upgraded hatchet as well as some of his upgraded cards. The Delver definitely has some really cool stuff, especially the fact that when you're in the dark, which we neglected to mention, you get some I
was going to say, he's really helpful when you're in the dark or fighting enemies that have search or threat tokens, because then you get extra hits.
Yes. Now we'll talk a little bit about some of the additions that this brings to the base game. Also want to talk quickly about the price point. You're looking at a price point that's very close to that of the original game. Reason for that is you have a full set of tiles. You've got a ton of new cards. Besides really the basic cards, weaknesses and damage cards, and then some of the tokens, you're almost getting the same amount of content that's in the base game. So if you don't like the price point for the base game, well, you'll feel that this is a little too expensive. But overall, I feel that it was priced right for what you're getting. And when it came to some of the items that were included in the game, for example, we got some new weapons for everyone, of course, but they did add a couple of ones to fill some gaps in those level 2 or level 3 items from the base game, which I thought was very cool. You also get the reference cards for the new tokens that show up, which was also nice. But I think probably the standout thing in terms of new cards was some of the new titles, like the Treasure Seeker title, which was just fantastic. It lets you move from one location to another and interact with the search token for free, basically like teleporting across the map. I thought that was just really cool, especially with how expansive some of these maps really got, whether you're delving into the darkness or journeying through the treacherous trails of Mirkwood. And I don't think there was really anything else we need to add that came into the game. You got more hexagonal tiles, everything.
More villains,
which is cool. There will be some more expansions coming for the game that was announced during Gen Con, so we'll definitely be picking those up, and you can expect to see a review on the channel in the near future. So Julie, I think it's time for us to rate the game. We talked about everything for Shadowed Pass, unless I forgot something.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I would give it, I'd give this easily an 8. It's definitely worthwhile expansion. I think it adds more. If you already like the others, you're definitely going to like this. And I think it just adds more story and more playability to be able to continue playing the game.
Yes, when you mentioned the story, I wanted to comment. So one thing I would say is that difficulty of this campaign, Hunt for the Ember Crown, definitely felt a little bit more difficult as you got to the end of it. Felt like we didn't get that same difficulty level ramp. And story-wise, they did another great job, Fantasy Flight Games.
I love the story.
Of capturing that Tolkien-esque story into a game, especially something that, I don't know if this was adapted from some of the stuff from the Silmarillion or other things, but great job. In any case, I do also give this an 8. Don't know if we rated the base game higher, but a solid expansion. If you love Journeys in Middle-earth, this is something you should definitely look at picking up. So Julie, what time is it now?
It's time to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified when we have some new content for you.
Also, down below in the video description, you can find links to all of our social media feeds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. There are tons of pictures of Julie and I playing through this campaign.
All 12 campaigns in our case.
Yes,
right?
all 12 missions. Are supposedly 13, but we only got to 12. So check those out. Then popping up in front of me will be a link to our most recently released video. And then popping up in front of Julie is our link to a review and how to play of Journeys in Middle-earth. So take it away.
It's time to grab our drinks.
Grab our best friend and fellow adventurer.
And keep playing games.
Keep playing games. Looking forward to more from this.
Definitely playing more of this.
Yes.